What's up, everyone? Welcome to the, official episode 1 of our Ball Talk podcast. Today, we're going to recap the Thunder, their win over the Rockets in the semifinals of the NBA Emirates Cup, preview the championship matchup with the Bucks tomorrow night, and then maybe get into things we like and dislike about the Cup and other NBA musings. And then we might even talk a little Oklahoma Sooner football and maybe basketball, because basketball is all that matters in life right now. But I'm
Right.
Ben. With me
Basketball's
today.
king.
Yep. With me today, I got Chris. Chris,
What's up,
how's it going, man?
guys? What's up, guys? Yeah, excited to talk ball. Ball talk. Ball talk
Ball
all
talk.
the way.
That's the name. That's the name. How were you able to watch all of the Rockets game?
I watched a recap for sure. I was preoccupied playing some games at a family Christmas, as
That's
well
fair.
as
I was at a Christmas party, so
I've been making and drinking margaritas most of the day. So, what I watched today was pretty exciting stuff. That I watched the NBA's recap first, and it was it's all offense when they do a recap. It's every 3-pointer made. It's layups and things like that. But I was more interested in the defensive side, so I watched the Thunder recap, and some of those steals we had, they just made the Rockets look silly. There's a point where Şengün just threw the ball to Lou Dort or threw the ball to Isaiah Joe. There was just nobody there. This Thunder defense and offense, for that matter, this whole Thunder team is made to make people look silly. Shea on the offensive side able to make someone look silly at any point, and then defensively they just hound the ball. So good stuff.
Yeah,
good win.
it was. I was at a company Christmas party Saturday night, and so I had it up on my phone, watching as much as I could while trying to be somewhat professional. The first half, it looked like, from watching on my phone and then obviously going back and looking into it, didn't miss much offense in the first half.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
the Thunder were 1 of 18 from 3 in the first half. Shea was probably his worst shooting half of the season. Dub wasn't shooting great. I mean, it was 42-41 at halftime.
Which is a rock fight.
Yeah, that's like 1990s Bad Boys Pistons basketball.
Yeah.
But obviously, second half they come out. They scored 70 points in the second half. I think it was the third most points the Rockets have allowed in a half this season. The Thunder have the first as well. It was back in the first meeting when Chet was healthy. I'll give the Rockets this. We missed open shots. The Rockets definitely have a phenomenal defense. Amin Thompson and Tari Eason are just dogs, and they match up well. I mean, it kind of reminds me of like Herb Jones on Shea, like a tall, lanky guy. Shea obviously got his, but the matchup there it just works. And the Rockets, as much as I hate to admit this, they are going to be very good, and they already are very good.
I agree.
But they do not have an offensive identity at all. And so
True.
The whole game, I was like, we just need eventually we will hit shots. I'm not saying we would hit them at a high clip, but we were going to shoot better than we were. And I didn't I just knew we had to just keep playing, because I didn't trust the Rockets to go outscore us.
Truly. It hurts when Amin Thompson, who is this great defensive superstar in the making, is your leading scorer with 19 points.
Yeah, he was the high scorer at halftime, I think. And so it was a rock fight, as we said. I don't, like I said, I don't really respect them offensively, and so they're definitely a team that you have circled as the next NBA team that a star requests a trade. I mean, they have the assets and they have young players. Jalen Green still has a lot of hype. He just signed an extension, but it's not one that it's very tradable. But yeah, we don't have to get into.
So you think that their stars are going to ask to be traded off, or say Jimmy Butler is going to be traded in?
Like Jimmy Butler. I don't know if it's Butler this year. Butler, I don't think would save him. But if, let's say, Phoenix tanks, Kevin Durant gets hurt or something like that, Booker wants out, someone like that. De'Aaron Fox is one that people have talked about as getting kind of fed up with Sacramento.
Yeah, but he may not be the offensive guy they need. They need somebody who can like consistently get their own shot, for 48 minutes. Not somebody who's going to get hot for
Or even
12.
just like in the fourth quarter. I mean,
That's
like
true
they have
too.
guys who hit shots. Fred VanVleet's very inconsistent. We've talked a lot about the Rockets right now. But what the Thunder did in the second half, I loved that it happened when it did. I mean, it showcased to the NBA, like, hey, we might want to pay attention to this team in Oklahoma City.
Right.
We're kind of good at basketball, and not just, I mean, Shea. I've told people this already. I think Shea is probably, if everything keeps trending this way, I think Shea's winning MVP this week, just
This
with this
week.
play.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
like, well,
Oh,
they're not going to announce it. He's going to win the
gotcha.
NBA Cup MVP, and
See,
then it's just going to be another data point in the discussion later. I know Jokic is doing crazy things, but the Nuggets just aren't good. Um,
and I
and so
think
I
there's
think that
some
talent
sort of
gap. Yeah.
yeah, there's some sort of voter fatigue with Nikola Jokic.
Well, he didn't even seem interested in wanting to win the MVP last year. They did the show, and he just was like, "Yeah, I just want to go race my horses." Um, like
and
it
that's
didn't mean much to him.
and it's a media award. I mean, it's not like it's a media award where people are um, voting for voting for their favorite player or voting for whether they decide to do metrics or whatever. And I think as much as it's a player who wins it, the media want to be thanked for winning, for giving
Yeah,
it to somebody. And I
yeah,
think um, that really will play into the voter fatigue this year.
I agree. And then I think the one thing that I wanted to touch on for sure about this game, I mean, there was a play, Lou Dort's remembering how to shoot with his mallet finger. I mean, he had 4 threes in the second half, but he had a play where he dove on the court, and somebody on Twitter, I can't remember the account, but said it looked like he dove on a grenade with how just like forceful his dive was on this ball.
I did see
It
it.
led,
It was like
yeah,
right in the stomach. He landed on
yeah,
it.
like I'm shocked he could breathe. But he dished it out to Kaysen, who had a dunk, in fast in transition. But the play where Kaysen and Sengun got into that scuffle might have
Mm-hmm.
been like, I mean, the Shea in and out, get past Brooks. He's sending him one way out to Dub for the three was a great play. But Kaysen getting in that scuffle with Sengun, especially after how, like, I don't think we necessarily got punked against the Mavs last year in the playoffs, but that attitude that a young team kind of has to develop, and I think Hartenstein helps a lot with that. Kenrich is a huge boost there, but Kaysen, 6'4", small, air
Smallest guy,
quotes,
on the,
small,
smallest guy
small,
on the court.
yeah, going up against. I mean, I think Sengun. I don't think he's a true 7-footer, like 6'10" guy, but just like Kaysen was like, nah, man, like I'm here, um, it just. I'm not saying it sparked anything. The game was already decided, but seeing the team have that kind of attitude, and Kaysen said after the game, and Hartenstein backed him up. It was like we're not going to get punked. And so seeing that from a team, especially someone with Dylan Brooks, they have that identity of trying to poke the bear. And they poked, and we were like, yeah, we don't care. We're just going to beat you. Um, but we're also not going to get pushed over. So that was one of the things that I loved about the game. And I was home by the time that happened from the Christmas party, and I like stood up and was like clapping at the TV, like I was hyping Kaysen up. And Hartenstein said if he gets fined, he has it covered. So um, that was to me just cool to see.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
excited.
I totally agree. Coming from the smallest guy on the court, I think probably Fred VanVleet may be smaller, but Kaysen, who is a smaller guy but standing up to the Rockets' biggest player, shows you there's no fight or there's no die in this team. They're gonna fight even if they're winning by a lot. They're gonna continue to fight, and I think that's what truly marks a great team. Now, I do want to talk. I do want to talk about the NBA officiating because Lou Dort got that technical after hitting that three, and he did his signature celebration, whatever that is. Every player has it, but they blew they blew a whistle and they gave him a tech. And today the NBA has rescinded that technical. It's crazy the amount of times that officials want to make the game about them.
Yeah, well, I think it was right after the Kaysen scuffle too. And
Right.
so I think they were just like they were pinned back. Like, we got to make sure this doesn't, like, nothing happens.
Control.
Yeah, but I think he thought that he was like pointing it at Dylan Brooks or whoever.
That was our
Instead,
bench.
yeah, but Brooks or whoever it was, I think it was Dylan Brooks, was defending him, and I think they thought he was between.
I know you're an NBA guy, so you can protect the refs all you want, but it's a ref show out there.
No, it is. It is. But you bring that up. It is the first game, and I don't know how long the Thunder won the free throw battle.
You're
we
right.
shot more free throws than they did. So if they have to give Lou Dort a tech for us to shoot more free throws every game, I'll take it.
Yeah, 100%.
But
yeah, it was a good game. Now we move on to a $500,000 pickup game that doesn't matter. No matter what happens on Tuesday night, the Thunder are going to go into the Orlando Magic game 20-5.
you know, I think what Mark's gonna love it, because that 0-0 mentality. That's literally exactly what this is.
That's 100% right. He's gonna cook up some wild stuff.
Yeah, I think the Thunder will take it seriously. I think the Bucks will. I mean, I don't. It's just. I mean, there's stuff that has to be ironed out with this cup, and as Thunder fans going into this, it's been really fun to track it. I mean, even throughout group play and trying to advance, and then the Mavs game and the Rockets game, it's been fun to track. And obviously, that has to do with our team being heavily involved in it. But I'm curious to see how they kind of switch that up. But yes, the Thunder play the Bucks, the Milwaukee Bucks, tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Central. You got Giannis and Dame versus Shea and Dub and Hartenstein, and I could list the whole team. But it's going to be interesting. Giannis is obviously probably one of the most unique players in the NBA. Not probably, he is one of the most unique players in the NBA. The Bucks started out, I think 2-10,
right?
And they're now 14, or they're 12-3 over their last 15 games after starting out 2-8, and so they're 14-11 now. This game doesn't count for them, as we mentioned, but they found something. And I was listening to a podcast today. It was the Brian Windhorst Hoop Collective, and he brought up, he was like, this team has been winning games. Their numbers haven't. It's not like the numbers flipped and all of a sudden they're dominating or anything like that. I think they've had a little easier schedule, but I think it's their team. It's Giannis, Dame, Brook Lopez is still good. He's not Brook Lopez of 5 years ago or even when they won the championship. But then everyone else does not scare me.
Chris Middleton, you got in there. He's back to playing, isn't he?
He's back, but he was on a minutes restriction. I mean, they mentioned in the Hawks game, the announcers kept saying like he just looks like he's winded the whole time.
Wow, yeah.
So I mean, he's back. You're right. He's a guy. He can hit shots, but if he was in game shape, I'd obviously fear him a little bit more. And he barely played last year.
So on their offense, is it? I haven't watched much Hawks, but so are they gonna like pass the ball around, or is it a lot
Bucks?
Of like ISO? Because I'm not really scared of a team going ISO against us, and that could be wrong. I'm not totally sure, but like,
I mean, they're gonna pass the ball around. They're gonna try to dribble drive and get it out to the corners. I mean, they're gonna have Bobby Portis out there. They have Gary Trent Jr., who was a signing for them that they thought was just a great, roster altering signing for the league minimum. He has been great. The guy that's kind of crazy for them right now, his name's AJ Green, and he's like a 6'5" guy. He's from Northern Iowa. He was undrafted a couple years ago.
Was it because he was playing in the NFL?
No. AJ Green's been retired from the NFL for a fat minute. But he's shooting like 49% from three this year. So he shoots the ball well. He defends well.
Is that still going to be on Shea?
The guy I think they're probably going to have on Shea is Andre Jackson Jr. He's a second year player out of UConn. He was on their first national championship team. But he's pretty physical. He's pretty athletic. He doesn't shoot well. He's kind of a negative on offense, but he's athletic enough. He moves his feet. he'll get the Shea assignment. There's no way Dame is gonna guard Shea. Um, Dame's probably gonna get the Dort treatment and just stick him on Dort, so
Honestly,
he doesn't have to guard.
I like those smaller guards to get the Kaysen treatment because I think they're a little more apt to, he's a smaller guy, so they're gonna, well, smaller for NBA standards, but they're gonna try to bully him a little more. And I think, as he showed against the Rockets, he's not gonna be bullied. But that's to say, Luke Dort is our best, on-ball defender. So
That's fair. Well, I think the biggest question mark is who's on Giannis. Is it Dub? Is it Dort? I don't think they're going to put Kaysen on him. But especially out of the starters, if Kaysen's starting, I assume he will. He's been starting a lot recently and has played well in that spot. But Dort can match up with them, at least physically. Obviously, the height isn't there. Dub is a little taller. They keep talking like he's 6'5", and Dub, I think, one day is just going to put out a press release saying, "I am 6'6", people." I know that makes a huge difference, but
hey, an inch is a lot. An inch is a lot.
Always. But I think he'll get. I mean, Giannis isn't going to just be like we have a guy to stop him. It's going to be a team thing.
I mean, no,
I wouldn't be shocked if we put. I wouldn't be shocked if we tried to put Hartenstein on him because Brook is more of an outside player. He's not really going to post up and clog the lane. The problem with that is not having a backup big. I don't want Hartenstein getting into foul trouble trying to guard Giannis.
Do you start Alex Caruso for the first time and put him on Giannis? I know in Chicago he was the guy guarding the bigger guys. So he's got.
I don't think you can start him. I don't think you can start him yet. And I say yet. If we haven't started him already, I don't know why. Well, this is the game that doesn't count. So maybe Mark's like, screw it.
Yeah.
But I mean, he'll probably be. I say this, Mark will probably put in AJ Mitchell first, but I was going to say Caruso would make sense as like one of the first guys off the bench to try to match Giannis. Right. But I think how the defensive matchup there, that's going to be interesting. And then, the as I've kind of mentioned before, outside of Dame and Giannis, and then Andre Jackson guarding Shea potentially. I don't know who's going to guard Dub. And so I'm hoping that he has a big game. I mean, he's been playing well. I would love for him to go score 35 points and try to make an all-star game in a game that doesn't count.
But will be watched it'll probably be the most watched Thunder game definitely for the rest of the year because I don't think a lot of people are going to watch Orlando.
Except the Christmas Day game.
Oh, wait.
Well, that's what's crazy, too. These two teams, I mean, I didn't even realize this till today. Milwaukee doesn't have a Christmas Day game either.
Well,
and so the NBA just messed up. Like, bottom line, this will be the last Christmas Day that the Thunder don't play on probably for a decade after this. But yeah, it'll be interesting. It's a fun matchup. The people that are saying that the Thunder should tank it, I don't agree with at all. I don't think anyone's really meaning that. I think they're just trying to point out how dumb the scheduling is in terms of we're playing a game that doesn't matter, and then the Thunder have to fly and play in Orlando and Miami Thursday and Friday.
Right, but there's no way the NBA could have predicted who would be in this game. I mean, last year it was the Lakers and the Bucks.
Pacers.
Oh, Lakers and the Pacers. But the Lakers and the Pacers weren't supposed to be good, so like there wasn't any need to, like, the best teams in the West and the best teams in the East didn't make the cup last year, so there's no way to predict who's going to win and who's going to care about the cup, really.
I mean, it's fair. I think the most valuable thing in all of this is that you have a Thunder squad that, I mean, everyone talks about them as being great, and I think they would even agree with this, is that they haven't done anything yet. Yes, they won a playoff series. They took Luka and the Mavs to 6 games, and in that 6-game series, the point differential was literally 0. The team scored the same amount of points. And so putting them in a situation where obviously now it's a championship game, single game elimination kind of vibe, going up against two of the best players in the NBA. I know Dame's kind of fallen off a little bit, but he's still probably a top 3, 4, 5 shot maker in the NBA, especially when it comes to clutch moments. The Thunder have a bit of a history with that.
Dame time.
Yep. Which obviously I'm not complaining about what led to the Thunder team after that shot. And then you have Giannis, who like I said, is one of the most unique players in the NBA, has won a championship. Uh, and so just giving them this high pressure situation, I think, is arguably more valuable than even just going and playing in Orlando on Thursday night.
I agree. I think the best thing that can come out of this, besides like, winning the money, is that the Thunder have a chance to go into I would say neutral, but like non
Traditional.
traditional venue and go get some intense basketball experience.
I mean, even that Rockets game was a playoff game. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously it's not to that extent, but it's probably one of the closest things you'll get to a playoff game in December.
that's the
Same thing as
value.
the Mavs game.
Yeah, that's the value in this tournament for a young team fighting for playoff experience. Is
Yeah.
every chance they can get to have a game that is unlike the rest of the season is going to be valuable experience for them.
Yeah. And they have to go make shots when it counts. I mean, that's going to be interesting, especially I think one of the biggest questions going into the playoffs for the Thunder this year is, can Dub step up and be that second scorer? Obviously, Chet coming back will change some of the equation, but Chet doesn't have the ball in his hands a lot. I think they want to get to that point, but it's Dub who's actually going to be at the top trying to break down defenses and either create for himself or others. And so, obviously, Milwaukee doesn't have the defense that the Mavs did last year, or even Houston did the other night. He still had 20. But putting him in a high pressure situation and seeing how he's able to work there, I think, is something that I'm interested in the most. And then, obviously, how we're going to deploy Hartenstein and the other defenders matching up with the Bucks. I mean, I don't think this is by any means a finals preview, but Milwaukee's playing well. So who do you got? Who do you got winning this game? Are you going full homer?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I won't ever try to hide my bias. So I think the Thunder probably win by 15. But
I respect it.
realistically, it's going to be. I mean, these guys. I mean, it's a lot of money on the line. These guys don't want to get punked on national TV, so probably 7 or 8 points would be like a really big blowout in a game like this.
Yep.
So I would say it's probably going to be 5 or 6 by the end of it because of free throws and things like that. So Thunder by 5.
I mean, it's crazy you say that. So the current line on the game is Thunder -5.
Yeah, I'm a sharp. Yeah.
Yeah, it opened at 4.5. I checked before we hopped on. It's moved to a 5. I definitely would have, like, if I were a betting man, and I dabble every once in a while, I would have the Thunder covering and winning closer to 10 than 5. I'd probably say Thunder by 9, just because I do think that that they'll. This isn't going to be a game where I think either team just like tucks it in.
100%.
And yeah, so, but it'll be interesting. We talked about the cup a little bit. Is there anything you would change about the cup?
I mean, I don't know what's going on in those locker rooms, so I feel like maybe a weirder rule would help out. Just something to really throw everybody and get
You want a
everyone
4-point line?
confused. A 4-point line would be awesome. And
10 fouls
but just implement it for the last 30 seconds of the game.
or quarter or half or
Yeah.
honestly, yeah.
And then you really start to spice things up for something that doesn't really matter. But it was interesting to talk, what do you think about Isaiah Hartenstein talking about how, like, this happens all the time in Europe? And
In
we
soccer,
love it.
it's like the FA Cup, and
Right.
I think it's something that can build. Obviously, there's stuff they're fine tuning. I think one of the things that they need to figure out, Vegas currently is not an NBA city,
Mhm.
and it's also Western time zone or Western side of the country, and so like the Bucks and Hawks game tipped off at 1:30 local time in Vegas, and so. As has been discussed, the 4 teams that made it weren't necessarily. I mean, the NBA literally posted an article saying that the Thunder Rockets series or the matchup from Saturday night isn't what the NBA wanted. And although that might be true, like this is one of the biggest issues with the NBA. They don't know how to market good teams. They only know how to market big markets.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I mean, you look at the NFL, the best team right now, especially after yesterday. Besides the Chiefs, well, even the Chiefs, they're in Kansas City, Missouri, a smaller market. I know it's not as small as Oklahoma City. The Bills are in Buffalo, New York. I know it's New York, but it's Buffalo. And And that's where all the primetime games are. And so they found a way to just be like, hey, we trust our product. We want the best teams being played because that's the best basketball. And so the NBA just has to find out. I mean, the Thunder have to be on national television. The Rockets need to be on national television. The Lakers need to stop. Yeah. Like LeBron literally went missing this weekend for like 3 days. They didn't know if he was going to play last night. He came back, but obviously that's big drama, so it probably fueled it even more. But they have to find ways to figure this out. And I think one thing they could do is try to make this like a Final Four situation or a Super Bowl to where it's not always in Vegas. You kind of move it around to different markets.
Sort of like the All-Star game. You bid on it for years, yeah.
Well, not even bid on it. I think one way you could do it is maybe reward the team that won it the last year and they're hosting the next year. And that's a way you could maybe look into other markets getting, like, Oklahoma City's not in a position to host an All-Star game or anything right now, but we could host a cup. It's not as many people.
Do you add like a bye for the team that won it last year so that they're not... You add like the 2 teams that make it into this 83rd game. Do you add a bye for them into the next cup,
the knockout, like
the knockout round, so that you can play? Maybe not so that they you have some, you draw to it as like the home team fans.
Maybe. I don't know, because I mean that's the biggest issue. Let's say the Thunder win it this year and are hosting the next year in this hypothetical, and they don't make it. I do think people will go to Paycom to watch the game, but it definitely won't be the same thing. And so maybe it's more of like they're rotating through New York and LA and Atlanta and the bigger markets. Because like those are just basketball cities. I mean, obviously they're big enough. They're multiple things that those cities love, but basketball people love in those markets, especially New York, LA. They're the markets that we see every Tuesday night on TNT.
Right.
Or Thursday night or whatever. So I think they need to figure out a way. I don't think until Vegas gets a team, which I do think they will, they have to find a way to draw in the rest of the country or even the world, but outside of the teams that are advancing in it. And then I think they have to find a way to make this 83rd game count for something.
Count for like
towards the standings, something. There has to be some benefit to winning this game
besides the team.
Besides the money.
Like home court advantage?
I would even do like, hey, if they win this and there's a tiebreaker in the standings, they win every tiebreaker.
Oh, like an automatic tiebreaker.
Yeah. Or they get an extra win or something. I don't know. I don't think the win's kind of hard because they're pretty stuck on this 82 game schedule.
Right. And adding this game.
But there has to be some benefit.
Why is this an 83rd game? Why isn't it just like another game?
It has to do with scheduling. It has to do with scheduling and how they're like. It was easier for them the teams that have not advanced this far, and then the teams that made it to the knockout round. It was easier to get everyone scheduled into those 2 extra games. Finding a third for everyone would have been just way more complex scheduling wise. And so somebody even mentioned maybe like if the 2 teams that play in the finals, maybe like when we play Milwaukee next, either that's in Milwaukee or Oklahoma City, I don't know. But you just like either cancel that game
or get a rest day. Yeah, I like that.
Something. Yeah.
But
we're not going to solve it tonight, but
sometimes
they have to do
schedule
something.
Those weird, so that might not work either. But yeah. I mean, there's no good.
It's not, yeah.
I mean, Mark mentioned moving away from this point differential because he didn't want to. He was talking about player safety,
the integrity of the game.
And those unwritten rules of basketball.
Well, he said there's grace in winning, and they are taking that away.
I get that. That's a very baseball old man take, but I think it's fun.
Mark said it. I believe it. Dude's a prophet.
Right. I guess so. But there is some, as the NBA we've talked about is a product. It's something that they want. Like, I don't think they think scoring more and keep the scoring going is bad for their product.
Yeah, I don't know. They'll make adjustments. I think it's a good start. I mean, people have mentioned the Lakers winning the first year was huge for them because Lakers fans now have treated it like something. They didn't advance this year, and And then I think both basketball games the other night were good basketball games. The Hawks and Bucks was exciting. You had to get through the first half of Thunder Rockets just because of the missed shots. If you love defense, it was the half for you, and then it got
Right.
exciting in the second half. And so it's been a benefit. It's been definitely a net positive, I think. But there's just stuff they're gonna have to fine tune to really make this as big as it could be. And I hope they do because it's been a lot of fun. So
I've had a lot of fun watching. You're right.
yeah. So that's kind of the Thunder right now. They play tomorrow night, and then
The
they
state
fly
of
over
the
to
Thunder.
State of the Thunder. Weather report, some might say. But
That's
they
your weather report. Oh, let me talk about something that I feel strongly about. So
weather
going
reports.
to go well, it is about a weather report. Going to the Thunder game every third quarter or fourth quarter, they put on a weather report for going home.
It's
What's
David
his
Payne most of the time.
David Payne or another one of those meteorologists. They come on and they say, when they say it rains, the Thunder boo. But I think when they end it, they should say, but right now, there's a strong chance of thunder.
Or
And say,
100%
go
chance of
Thunder.
Thunder. Yeah.
100% chance of thunder. I think
And
that
it's
would be electric.
yeah, I literally thunder, electricity. It's that's
I
more
know.
lightning. But
That's all I have to
we
say
have
about
said
that.
that for a couple of years now. I agree. We need to talk to head of game ops for the Thunder.
No, I want to
But
talk
yeah,
directly to David Payne.
or Sam Presti. Maybe we get Sam up there doing it.
Let's just talk to Sam.
Yeah.
I know.
Obviously, he's very involved in that.
Let's just call
Yeah. So Thunder play Tuesday night, then a back-to-back East Coast trip to Florida, Miami and Orlando. Before we move on to some quick OU football transfer portal stuff, any other NBA stuff you want to talk about?
I just want to mention, I think it's crazy that the 3-point made record was, set the other day by, I can't remember who it was set by, but they made like 41 threes in a game, which is an insane amount of shots going up. And then it was broken during the Mavs Warriors game, and they shot like 43 or something crazy. So I don't know. It's just, I wish there was more grace in offense, instead of just jacking up threes. But that is my boomer take of the week.
You know my stance on threes, so
Yeah,
you score way more outside of the 3-point line than inside.
Yeah, nerds have ruined basketball.
We're not nerds. We're
There,
smart.
I said it. There, I said it.
Yeah, I don't know. That was the Mavs Warriors game last night that the Mavs won like 143 to 133. I didn't get to watch it, but Twitter was buzzing about it. And so that's what the funny thing. It's like our generation and younger think that's amazing basketball, and then as you get older than us, they hate that. They turn it off. So that's the big debate right now with NBA ratings. But yeah, it's interesting. We'll see what happens with the cup tomorrow. But yeah, before we log off for the evening, Chris, any thoughts on the Oklahoma Sooner football team?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts.
Any positive ones?
Yeah, you know me, and throughout the whole season, I was very positive. Very positive. I thought we were going to beat Tennessee by 15. I thought, we were going to go into Texas and, just crush them. I thought Texas was soft. I was proven wrong time and time again. And so I continue to hold that optimism inside of me as we have hired Ben Arbuckle and we go through this whole exodus and this transfer portal season. And so my kind of thought is John Batier, he's this great guy or great quarter, or I actually don't know. Is he this great quarterback that's going to come save OU? But is there some thought that we could have Michael Hawkins and he could be the guy next year with his legs? Or are they going to try to, give him another year to run?
Everything that I've seen about Michael Hawkins, and I'm not an expert on any sport by any means, but it's definitely not football. I only participate in fantasy football and yell at OU games.
Oh, tell me about your fantasy football team.
We don't
I
need to talk
don't
about
care.
that. We don't. I don't care either. I'm very happy it's basketball season officially. It's been basketball season for me for several months. But I think everything I've heard about Michael Hawkins is that his footwork and some of his technique's a little off. Obviously, Arbuckle coming in's big.
Yeah,
Different,
what was that?
different
Not
system.
having a QB coach last year.
Well, we had a QB coach. It was Seth Luttrell, who had never played QB before.
Right.
And so that was the issue. But Arbuckle did play. I think it was like D2 in Texas, but he at least played quarterback. He's helped bring along Cam Ward, who went on to do great things at Miami this year. Obviously, John Mateer on 247. Now that he's in the portal, he's the number one player in the transfer portal. So he knows at least a little bit about quarterbacking. And so what I would love to see, and I don't know how this all plays out, Mateer comes in, has a great year, potentially goes pro. Obviously, with how NIL works and all that now, people might be staying longer for a payday, especially if you're not one of those top tier quarterbacks. Because I don't think Mateer is like of that level. You never know.
How tall is he?
We'll see.
How tall is
He's 6 foot. Honestly, he's like I'm just gonna speak this into existence. He's a Baker Mayfield clone.
Okay.
That's basically what he like. His stature. He's got the flowing hair.
You got a hand size on him?
No, not yet. I'll let you know when I do. He's got a gap in his teeth, like Baker.
Baker has a gap in his teeth?
Yeah, at one point, at least. I don't know. But I think we need, especially the biggest thing right now is that Brent Venables has to have not even a good year. He has to have closer to a great year than a good year to stay the head coach at the University of Oklahoma. And John Mateer puts him in a far better situation. He's already run the offense that Arbuckle's bringing in. He's older. He's put up numbers. You know he is at least good or better. Michael Hawkins, there's still a lot of question marks on him. And if I'm Brent, I'm not risking my job on a quarterback that I do not know how he's going to do.
That makes a lot more sense. It's just Brent is gonna. That's true. Brent's gonna make a lot of decisions to keep his job, right?
I mean, we have to win 9 games next year,
right?
In my opinion.
And so I think that's a big decision for him. A quarterback to run the offense and to know to kind of lead the guys would be huge for OU. And having skill guys that probably are I don't know, but a better caliber of that at Washington State might make this offense dazzle a little more, shine like a diamond than it did at WSU.
I think just in general, if we can scheme guys open, because we never did that last year.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the transfer portal, Mateer, he entered today. He did not have a no contact, so I've read that it's between us, Vanderbilt, Miami are kind of the players.
Miami could throw some real money at him.
Yeah, but from everything I've read, the OU's offering him $3 million over 2 years, $1.5 million a year for his last 2 years, and so and you come to OU, you already know the system. You're working with not only Ben Arbuckle, I can't remember his name, but we did hire his quarterback coach to come to Norman from Washington State.
Name. He had a crazy last name.
That's my excuse for not remembering it.
I think you come to OU, you know you're going to have a competent defense, so you're not going to have to. Well, right in this Brent Venables era, he may not put good offenses out there, but he's definitely going to put, solid defenses out there. So he is going to have the ability to maybe not score as many points as we did when Lincoln Riley was here, 42 points, but 30 points a game. He'll win a lot of games here. Instead, if you go to Miami, you might not get that defensive cushion.
That's what cost Cam Ward a chance at the Heisman in the playoffs. They couldn't stop anybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting. Transfer portal's just cooking up.
Why Vanderbilt?
They just have money.
Oh.
So,
and Nashville money.
Yep. All those bachelorettes funding their NIL.
That's pretty. Yeah. That makes me laugh. Thinking of all those yeah. But did you see that Eugene Brooks entered the transfer portal?
Yeah, he was highly rated, but I also know that throughout this year, all the other guard prospects like Heath Ozada and Eddie Pierre-Louis kind of separated from him. And so if those guys are the same age, obviously Brooks was able to redshirt. Eddie Pierre-Louis also was able to. He only played in 3 or 4 games. But all those guys being around the same age, he wasn't going to get the opportunity. He's from California. I don't know where he's going to go. It's not great. Obviously, you want to have depth on the O-line, especially with Bill wanting to play as many guys as he does. But it's not surprising. Like it's something that it isn't shocking.
Yeah. So, have you been surprised by anybody entering the transfer portal? Because I really haven't.
No, I wish Nick Anderson was staying just for emotional reasons, with what he did against Texas and the expectations this year. Rodney, I took a class with him in college. Rodney's a great dude. But yeah, that was a bummer. I saw he's looking at Texas A&M, one other. I want to say it was either Oregon or Ole Miss, but he'll go get a bag. He deserves it. There's just stuff that happened here that just wasn't good for both sides, and you could tell.
Taste in his mouth, yeah.
It was just like, I don't think he has any ill will towards OU. It was just like I need a fresh start.
Yeah, and I get that totally.
So
I get that totally.
Yeah, outside of that, nothing too crazy.
OU basketball though.
OU basketball, like I said, it's basketball season. The men's team beat OSU this past weekend in Oklahoma City. Crushed them. We might have a lottery pick on the team, and Jeremiah Fears, who reclassified. So yeah, I might actually want to go to Lloyd Noble this year to watch a basketball game, which I did not think would be even close to the case.
Yeah.
Going into this year. So Porter Mosier, he's a guy.
Whose tenure did you think would end earlier, Porter Mosier or Brent Venables?
Oh, Porter. I was shocked he was back this year after not making the tournament, but now it might be flipping the other way. So,
but is Porter just going to be like, he was at Chicago Loyola, right?
Loyola, Chicago.
Well, I've heard it both ways.
No.
He was there and he took, a couple teams to the tournament. Is he going to be a guy that every 5 years he takes a team deep in the tournament, and in the other years he just can't seem to get it together?
I hope he gets to 5 years at OU.
that would be my biggest fear.
Yeah. Well, you don't need to fear. Jeremiah Fears is here.
That's right. That's right. I'll sleep comfortably knowing that he's on the team.
No. But Chris, anything else you want to discuss before we wrap it up tonight?
I'm good. All
right. Well, appreciate you coming on, Chris. We'll let you guys know when we get the next podcast out. But, we'll see what this becomes. Just a couple guys talking sports. Appreciate y'all. And we'll talk to you next time.
Just Paul. Talk to you later.